software. So lastly, I kind of want to talk about some legacy systems and outdated software. So many companies kind of continue to rely on old tools simply because they still work-ish. So unsupported software often brings hidden costs, though. So compatibility issues, security risks, poor performance. Essentially, that kind of frustrates the team and employees. So as end of life dates for popular systems, even like Windows 10, right? Windows 10 is end of life at the end of this year. So now is essentially the time to plan migrations to different and modern platforms. So modernization can be an intentional phased process, as scheduling and migrating platforms doesn't happen overnight. It can take potentially months, hopefully only weeks. So, John and Alan, what are some steps that businesses can take now to modernize their software environments, avoid being caught off guard by aging platforms, kind of see the whole scope of what they have?
Yeah, definitely. It comes down to, as we kind of started this webinar, that question where keeping a good inventory on what's being used, and this also goes along with software, and reviewing that software, on a scheduled basis and planning for its eventual, decommissioning and what would be the next step and where you would move from. So, excellent point with Windows 10 that you brought up, James. It's end of life at the end of the year, along with a couple Windows Server operating systems as well. So it depends on the size of your organization. That might be something that can be handled with, a purchase, replacing any of those devices that are coming up and need to be upgraded to Windows 11, if they're not compatible with the upgrade to Windows 11. Or if you're a larger organization, you're planning to spread that replacement over time. So it's not all at once. Again, not only the cost that's involved with that on the hardware side, but the labor to set up, as well as the interruption to users as their new devices are being configured. Something you'd want to avoid having, the entire office kind of swapped out versus doing it in sections. So something to think about is keeping track of those end of life dates for software and planning the next step for that. Same thing goes along with end of life applications that are still being used. So oftentimes we'll see organizations that use a specific application that's out of date, but they need to use it because they haven't migrated to a more modern system. And it works fine for that day-to-day job. But then if there's any issues with it, your pool of support kind of really shallows out. There's not many developers that are still working on it. Maybe you have one developer that you're tied to, and basically you can't compare their rates to others because they're the only ones who still support that system. And now you're kind of held on to it, and you might actually end up paying more per year than if you were to migrate to a newer system. That will take some time. There's a learning curve, obviously, for employees. But again, a lot of times those more modern applications have features that aren't in that older system. So you're going to gain not only a new system in general, but then productivity to go up with your staff utilizing those new features that you might not even be aware of. So we definitely advocate any older systems, anything not supported by the vendor. Really, there should be a plan in place to migrate to a more modern system ahead of that end of life date, because then it's very difficult to move on. You might have a piece of software that has been in use, for several years through a business. It's end of life now. Continue to use it, and now maybe we're 5 or 6 years past that date. Now modernizing is a lot harder because you're moving to such a vastly different system than if that migration would have taken place closer to the end of life date of that software.
Yeah, and just one of the things to really have a heads up about would be if you do have some kind of software application that maybe is with your own database servers, or you got some kind of custom application that a consultant makes and monitors for you. These typically can be tied to older versions of operating systems or software, and generally need a longer planning period to figure out what to do moving to the next version of software, maybe moving to a different product altogether if the software provider can't keep up with the evolution of the newer versions and all that. But that's something that we typically see if there's a specific software application or some kind of SQL server, some kind of database application. Those tend to take some more planning and sometimes a longer or more innovative process to handle this before it's too late. And again, just one of the major factors about running old hardware and software, or unsupported software, is vulnerabilities and security incidents and breaches are often tied to using these old non-updated pieces of hardware and software. And if you want to best prevent the downtime of your systems, just of your business and all that, you're going to want to keep these things updated and supported, because downtime is, it's hard to put a cost number or lost cost number on that, but significant downtime in your daily operations is going to be undesirable.
Definitely. So, overall, we've covered a lot today. So, but I guess the thread that's kind of running through all of this tends to be planning, especially with these out-of-date systems. It does take a bit of planning to do that migration, to do that update. So, budgeting in general for IT isn't just about controlling costs. It's about enabling your business to run efficiently and securely, with also room to grow. So here at Fairdinkum, just give everyone a heads up, our VCIO services are designed to kind of help you just do those things. We work with businesses to build IT roadmaps and to make budgeting predictable and strategic instead of just reactive and chaotic. So as we close out today's session, I just encourage everyone to revisit the 6 major areas that we discussed. We have hardware and equipment upgrades. We have licensing and service renewals, hosting and cloud-based services. We also have employee training and cybersecurity. We have testing, compliance, and insurance readiness. And also, lastly here, application modernization and operating system planning. So I want to just thank everyone for joining us today, and a huge thank you to John Iacono and Alan Zimbalist for sharing their insights. And if you're ready to build a better IT budget and kind of take control of your technology spend, Fairdinkum team is here to help. So until next time, stay secure, informed, and proactive. See ya.